Welcome to Salute to the Ears, a Simon Family podcast where we discuss all things Disney. And on this episode of Salute to the Ears, episode 60, Eric and I discuss what we're calling Super Tuesday. All the news that broke on January 10th and a little bit on January 11th, so get comfy and enjoy. Welcome everyone to another episode of Salute to the Ears. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Erica.
And yesterday it was Super Tuesday.
Oh, it was crazy.
It was all kinds of Disney news fell on January 10th. And then there was a little bit of stuff that fell on today, the 11th. And some stuff we have dates, some stuff we don't.
So we're going to take a pause on our 3-part series that we've been doing to update you on all the things that are coming to both Walt Disney World and Disneyland in 2023. Partly because this stuff just dropped and you need to know about it now.
Right, because there's some stuff that's happening now.
Yeah.
And some stuff, like Tron, that's opening later.
Yeah, we finally have a date for Tron, and we're going to talk all about the new information that's coming along with it in just a few minutes. But first, we want to talk about some of the perks that are kind of coming back or starting.
Right. And let's go ahead and go. We've talked before how there's not a whole lot of perks to staying on Disney resorts right now.
Yeah,
right?
Especially at Walt Disney World.
Right. And so they brought one of those back. We've had it before. A lot of us thought it was buried, done, was never coming back. And that's free parking at the resorts.
Yeah. We kind of had mixed feelings about this, and we talked about it yesterday, where I wasn't real happy when they brought in parking, like, and made you pay for parking, even
right.
as a resort guest. At one point, it was if you weren't a resort guest, you had to pay for parking, but if you were a resort guest, you didn't. And
no, it's always been if you were staying at a resort, the parking was free. Right?
I know, but I'm saying, so if you were like there for a dinner reservation, but you weren't a resort guest.
Oh, yeah. I think it was overnight guests.
Okay.
I think. I'm not for sure. We don't ever drive there.
We've only driven once. And even then, but when we did that, the kids were really little and
right.
It was free.
And the parking was free.
So we didn't have to worry about it. But we had kind of mixed reviews on this because, like, we went and stayed at a local boutique hotel for our anniversary, and we paid for valet parking.
Right.
But staying downtown, there is no other option except valet parking or parking in the hotel's garage, and it's not just outdoor parking.
Right.
You're parking in a lit, secure garage and possibly having valet, and that's what you're paying for. And so I'm like, okay, I understand having to pay for parking in certain situations, but this is not one of them. So I'm really glad that they took it away. I think it does encourage more people who are within driving distance to come, and it also does help encourage people to go ahead and maybe rent a car.
Yeah.
And drive, because you still don't have to pay for parking at the parks either if you are a resort guest.
Right. Because what this also does is kind of bring back maybe some of those annual pass holders as well. Because with annual passes, you were already getting parking.
Right.
And if you could get free parking and stay off property and then get free parking, then it made more sense just to do that.
Yeah.
Because you can get the rooms for like half the price.
Right.
And most annual pass holders are driving anyway.
Right.
The vast majority. Now there are plenty that don't, but that doesn't necessarily affect them as much.
Yeah.
The parking part doesn't. I mean, you were looking at $20 to $30 per day parking at Disney resorts. I mean, that's a pretty good extra fee. Along with all the other stuff we're paying for now. So it's good to see that it's coming back. I understood why they were charging for parking because everybody else does, but they're also charging substantially more for their rooms than everybody else does.
Right. I wish that they would have gone to, like, hey, if you're not an overnight guest, you're paying more. Or, like, if you're a resort guest, you know, like...
I'm happy for the people...
have a flat rate.
I'm happy for the people who are driving that because free parking's back.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things that people were upset about when it went away. I'm happy that it's back. It's good that it's back.
Well, and speaking of those annual pass holders, one thing that is going to start changing soon. We don't have an official, like, this is the date.
No.
Right?
Nope, they just said coming soon.
Coming soon. So annual pass holders are going to have an opportunity for more relaxed reservations.
Right. And what they mean by this is starting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, APs, annual pass holders, can go to whatever park that they want and they don't have to make a reservation.
So up until that changes, annual pass holders still have to make a park reservation just like everybody else for any park they want to go to, no matter if it's an hour before closing
Right.
or 12 hours before closing. You had to make that park reservation. And one thing that's happened is that if you have a park hopper and you make just a regular ticket park hopper, right? You make a reservation for, say, Animal Kingdom, and you're there in the morning, and then you want to park hop after 2 to Magic Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to change your reservation or do anything with that
Right.
to be able to go over to Magic Kingdom. And I think that's essentially what's happening here is saying, look, you already have the opportunity to come to the park today if you want because you are an annual pass holder.
Mm-hmm.
And so since we're already pretty much letting anybody like go to whichever park they want after 2,
Right.
it's open.
Right. There is a small stipulation with this. It does not apply to Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
So just say Monday through Friday, you don't need a reservation. You can go to whatever park you want
After 2 p.m.
after 2 p.m.
If you are an annual pass holder.
Right. That all pertains to the annual pass holders. So if you're living in Orlando and you got an annual pass and you're sitting at work and you're like, you know what, I really want to go ride Flight of Passage today. Go ride Flight of Passage.
Yeah. Or you want to go have dinner at one of the parks or something that evening and maybe
Right.
there weren't reservations available previously. You're not having to go and look and see, is the park at capacity? Like, are there reservations available or not? Again, this is just for annual pass holders that we're talking about with this stipulation. Hopefully there will be relaxed reservation things for everybody coming at some point. Hopefully we will see the change in park hopping times or going back to just being able to park hop whenever you want.
Yeah. They're still saying there's more stuff coming, but they haven't just released it yet. Okay?
What is available to everybody right now?
What do you mean what is available to everybody
What
right
did
now?
they release as far as news that's available to everybody that's coming up?
So, the free self-parking, that started last night.
Right.
Okay?
What else?
That's the only one that started right now.
What's coming?
Okay. Another one that's coming is...
I'm trying to lead you, man.
Another one that's coming is with Genie Plus, you will automatically get those attraction photos downloaded. Those PhotoPass photos that are strictly on the attractions. So the PhotoPass picture you get on Rock and Roller Coaster
Or Tower of Terror.
or Tower of Terror. I was going to say Splash Mountain, but that's only another 2 weeks. But a lot of the rides have different photos.
Yeah, like
It's going to automatically download with the purchase of Genie Plus.
yeah. So you have to purchase Genie Plus in order to be able to have those auto downloads previously in order to just have it automatically get added to your My Disney Experience app and your PhotoPass photos. You would have to have already purchased and activated Memory Maker.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have Genie Plus, those ride photos, you can still scan your Magic Band and have them, like when you get off the ride and still see your photo and you scan your Magic Band or your, ticket to be able to have that go to your app and be connected to your account. You will still have that watermark over it if you do not have Genie Plus or Memory Maker purchased.
Right.
So that's kind of the trade-off is like, do I want to go ahead and just spend the money on Memory Maker because I'm planning on taking other PhotoPass photos? Because this is not going to include any of those ones that like a photographer is actually taking your photo. These are all of those just automated ones on a ride.
At Walt Disney World.
At Walt Disney World. And so, it's like, do I spend the money on Genie Plus
Mm-hmm.
for the day and utilize that, and then still have to potentially buy Memory Maker
Right.
or individual photos that I want because I've taken other PhotoPass photos with a photographer?
Right.
Or do I just want those ride photos because getting those other ones doesn't mean much to me, and so I spend the money on Genie Plus and not Memory Maker?
Right.
So you're going to have some decisions there, but this is not started yet, and we don't have a defined date. It's just another one of those that's like, hey, this is happening really soon.
Right. I hope this fixes the problem of there were multiple times we went up, scanned our Magic Band to get the picture or it downloaded, and it wasn't us. It's somebody else sitting there in the ride.
Well, we had a few times where it would ask us in the app, like, is this you? It was trying to identify so there's two things that happens with that. You will sometimes, you don't even scan your Magic Band. Some of the rides don't even have that option,
Right.
and you'll still get the ride photo. What it's done is taken that chip in your Magic Band,
Right.
and it's used it as a like, oh, hey, at this time, you were on this ride.
Mm-hmm.
You were in this ride vehicle at this time. And so it's utilizing that data in order to populate your photo. So sometimes it's off by one car just because of where you may have been standing in the line, like how you got maybe moved around to different, maybe you got moved from one car to another, like depending on.
Right. I just know there's been multiple times we've looked at pictures and go, nope, that is not us. That does not look like me whatsoever.
And those you can, have removed and delete from your PhotoPass. That's not a big issue. But there is some big news happening too with a couple things that we have grown to really appreciate
Yeah.
at Walt Disney World and have grown to really enjoy and I'm going to miss.
Churros are going away?
No. Churros aren't going anywhere, but Harmonious and Enchantment are going away at the end of the 50th.
Right. So.
We knew that.
Right. We knew that, but we didn't know when for sure. Technically, the end of the 50th is March 31st.
Right.
Okay? The last showing of both Enchantment and Harmonious is going to be April 2nd.
Yeah, so those are your nighttime spectaculars at Magic Kingdom and at Epcot.
Right.
Enchantment is what replaced Happily Ever After.
Right.
Which has been one of my all-time favorite
Right. And
nighttime shows at Magic Kingdom.
Right. And Harmonious actually replaced the interim show Epcot Forever.
Right.
Right? Both of those shows are ending on April 2nd. I don't think they could end them on April 1st because people would be scared that it was an April Fool's joke. Epcot Forever is coming back.
Yes.
Yes. With Epcot Forever coming back, the Stargate and the tacos are going away.
Where they're going, nobody really seems to know. They're
No.
just not going to be in the lagoon at Epcot.
Yeah. There's rumors of where they're going to go. But I don't know if I want to.
Yeah,
we're
not talking about that quite yet because right now that's just a...
Where the rumors I'm hearing make sense, but then I've also heard rumors that they're just writing it off and they're dismantling them. So that's why I don't want to say anything yet.
Yeah. So Epcot Forever is coming back. It's going to be updated. Yes?
It's going back to how it was pre-COVID.
Right.
So the nighttime kites and all that stuff are coming back with it.
Yeah, so it's not going to be the same as it was before Harmonious entered.
Because the people who were doing the kites had gone over to Animal Kingdom preparing to do kite tails.
Right.
Same company. It's going back how it was pre-COVID, and once again, it's going to be temporary until the new permanent nighttime show at Epcot arrives later on this year.
So we knew that was coming. We knew that there was going to at some point be another show and that it was going to be a version of Epcot Forever. We just didn't have details and we didn't have dates.
Right, and we had no idea the barges and everything were going to disappear.
That is starting as soon as Harmonious and Enchantment end on April 2nd.
Uh-huh.
So Epcot Forever is coming back on April 3rd, which
Right.
is a Monday.
Right.
And Happily Ever After is also coming back on April 3rd.
Right. It's like happily ever after plus.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it needs like the addition of another word, or it needs like kind of how like Enchantment went, like the movie Enchanted. Their latest one was Disenchanted. Like it needs a twist
It
on
needs
the
a
words.
twist. They throw plus on everything, so why not plus on this?
So this one is going to be kind of the plus version. So we had the addition in Enchantment of the projections down Main Street. So cool.
It is cool.
I mean, it looks absolutely incredible, and it means that more people get to be kind of a part of the magic in that. Happily Ever After, this new version in April, is going to include that.
Right. Now, they said for sure the music from Happily Ever After is going to be back.
Right.
And a lot of Happily Ever is going to be back. I think they're just going to kind of plus it up, add some new stuff.
Well, yeah, I think there's going to be some changing out of some IP.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about this, of like how they could do this and what it would be like, right? And I decided I'm going to have to pack like an extra box of Kleenexes because if we are standing on Main Street and the Tangled part comes up and we're surrounded by lanterns, you are going to be a mess.
I will be a sobbing mess.
Right.
Like I want to cry thinking about that. Like I literally am trying to like not
cool
tear up. Well, it's like being surrounded like at the Christmas, at the fireworks like at Christmas, and being surrounded by Snope, and the fake snow coming down, and and it just there's something about being surrounded like that on Main Street that is so incredibly magical instead of just watching it in front of you.
Like the Brave part with like,
oh my gosh,
like you can bring up like the Scottish mountains and Angus running alongside, or the pirates part where it's just like fire everywhere.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be incredible. I really do hope that they just kind of take some of those elements and just extend it down Main Street rather than it being just its own like different thing.
Right.
I am really excited about this. I'm glad that it's coming back, but
I don't think they can change it too much.
Right.
Because so many people were missing it and complaining about how they didn't like Enchantment that they decided to bring it out of mothballs, because I don't think that was the original plan.
I don't think so either, but I'm sure it saved them a few bucks when it came to like having to create a new show for...
I think the original plan was for Enchantment to be the permanent show for quite a while.
Yeah, probably.
It's because if it was going to be a strictly 50th anniversary show, there would have been more stuff to do with the past 50 years.
Yeah, I do actually hope though too. One thing I hope that they keep from Enchantment is in the last few months, they added the recordings from Walt. I hope they keep those.
Yeah, somewhere
that
in there.
was incredibly powerful.
Right.
I do really love that aspect. I will say, so help me if Jordan Fisher is not in attendance at that first.
He's going to be singing live. Even if he's not invited, he's going to make his way up front and sing live.
With that cute little baby, like, and all of his cheeks.
That baby's eyes are insane.
He's cute. He is darn cute. I'm super excited about it, but there is something that we are even more excited about.
It's only taken like 5 years or whatever. Like I said, the Bob swap already happened. Like, Iger was here, he left, and now he's back.
I have a feeling part of him agreeing to come back was like, get this the F done.
Ugh.
Like, this is ridiculous. Nothing else has taken this amount of time. Now, granted, I will excuse the few months of like COVID and shutdown and like things are not happening.
They built the park faster. It
was
a swamp.
I know. But I will excuse the COVID time. I will eliminate the like park is shut down, nobody's in there doing like anything, right? Like that like 3 or 4 months in there where there was really nothing happening and you really had all kinds of supply chain issues and all of that.
Yeah.
Like, I will give them that because that was just out of their control. That was not
Right.
anything to do with what Disney wanted as far as building it. I think there has been a lot of other major delays that do not have to do just with supply chain, that do not have
Right.
to do with, like,
It's
I don't know why.
even when COVID came, like we came back from COVID, the amount of staff that they were putting, or amount of construction workers they were putting over there to work on it was minimal. There were a lot of days where you either didn't see anybody working, or it's just very few. Like when they were putting up the canopies, there'd be days where it was just like a couple dudes like up there. It looked like they were zip tying stuff together, and it was just, I'm like, that's gonna take forever, and it did take forever.
It did take forever. I mean, granted, they had a lot of different projects happening.
Right.
You had all of the stuff in construction happening at Epcot. You had all of the stuff at Tron. You had something else. What am I missing?
Well, you got the stuff with Tron at Magic Kingdom, and then you had Epcot was a big mud
Epcot's
pit.
just been a mess.
Right.
They were trying to finish Guardians.
Right. That's it.
Like they've been working on Moana, like what is that called?
The Journey of Water?
Journey of Water. I wanted to say the Cycle of Water, and I was like, that is not
That's
right.
not right.
I'm like, this is not Miss Frizz, okay? The thing is like, we were kind of hoping when they said spring of 23, when they finally made that announcement, we were like, ooh, maybe it's going to be before spring break.
Right.
Like, maybe it's going to be like late February is going
Right.
to be the like spring announcement, right? That is going to be sooner rather than later.
No.
We do have a date, though.
We do.
Drum roll, please.
And it's April 4th.
April 4th. So literally, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
You are going to have 3 big days the
Right.
weekend before Easter.
Right. It's going to be
It is
crazy.
going to be insane. If you want to be a part of any of these things and you have not already made park reservations for those days,
It's not happening.
forget it.
Yeah.
These will not be annual pass holder available days for that after 2 p.m. Relaxed reservation thing.
Yeah. Stuff's already coming out that a lot of Magic Kingdom for April 3rd and April 4th are sold out.
Yeah.
So
There's probably some, if you're staying at a deluxe resort, there may be still some availability
maybe.
for some deluxe resort guests, but it's going to be far and few between. So unless you're willing to fork over the money for a VIP tour, which I'm sure those are probably gone too at this point for that day,
right.
that being there those days is probably already gone, and it happened fast.
Right. And what's going to be happening before that is you're going to have a time for annual pass holders, cast members, and DVC members. They're going to have an opportunity to ride it first.
Right.
They'll kind of open up to them. They'll have so many slots that are open for them to go and ride it.
Mm-hmm. They'll give them a virtual queue. It'll be similar to how they did it with Guardians, I would imagine.
Right. And they'll have certain days that they can go and do it, and they'll get it done. They'll be the first ones to ride it.
The good news is, if you are planning a trip for May, like through the summer,
Right.
this is going to be open.
Yep.
This is going to be available. By the time you get to the end of April, everything is going to be running like as it, quote unquote, as it should.
Right.
I would anticipate that after that first few weeks, like that first month or so, that we will probably see similar to Guardians, where it's had pretty consistently, other than like the absolute peak days, like Marathon Day and like other than like Christmas Day, Christmas time, like absolute peak days, you've had chances to be able to get on with no problem.
Right. You're probably going to have the 7 o'clock and 1 o'clock virtual boarding group again, which for Guardians has worked really well.
Yeah.
For Rise, it was awful. But I think this is going to be more like Guardians because it's a pretty quick moving ride. It's the one thing I'm hoping people aren't disappointed with. It's not going to be a real long ride.
Mm-mm.
It's going to be longer than like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but I don't think it's going to be as long as Guardians.
Well, one part of Guardians is the pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
So that just extends the experience. And because that extends the experience, you feel like you're on it for a lot longer than you are for the actual ride portion.
Right.
Again, April 4th, you literally have shows ending on the 2nd, shows starting on the 3rd, and then Tron opening on the 4th. It's going to be an awesome summer
Mm-hmm.
for Disney as far as all of these things kind of converging at the same time.
Right.
But again, if you have plans for a trip to Walt Disney World in, say, anytime in April, May, or June, and you already have park tickets, go ahead and start looking at those park reservations
Absolutely.
and be thinking about when you want to go to Magic Kingdom and be looking ahead at those. I don't know that you can see that far out right now. I'd have to look
April?
again to like June.
I'm not for sure
I know
about
you
that
can
yet.
to April, but I don't know that
Right.
you can to June.
It's if it follows kind of what the other ones have done, really that first week and a half is when it's been
Insane.
insane. That first weekend, especially if you say that's the one before Easter.
So it's going to start like the 4th is Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
The 1st is a Saturday.
Right.
Don't ask me why I know this. This is part
Okay.
of working in ministry. I know when the Sundays are. The 2nd is a Sunday. So you have those shows that are ending on a Sunday, which is
Uh-huh.
great because they're going to end over a weekend. You're going to basically have 2 big nights then Saturday and Sunday of those shows
Right.
happening. Those will end on Sunday. The new shows will start on the 3rd, on Monday. And then on Tuesday, you're going to have Tron opening. And so and the 4th is the cast member opening, correct?
No, the fourth
Fourth?
is general public opening.
Okay.
The cast member, annual pass holder, DVC members is before that. They just
Is in
haven't
March.
released those dates yet.
Okay. Just making sure I had that right.
Yep.
The 4th is a Tuesday. So I would anticipate that whole week, 4th through Sunday the 9th for sure, is going to be
busy.
absolutely insane. And then that whole next week. You have so many schools that have break either that week before or that week after Easter.
Mm-hmm.
Just plan for those first 2 full weeks in April being crazy.
Right. We talked about Disney World, but they are not the only ones who got news yesterday.
And I'm actually, I think, as excited as I am about the shows and the ride information and stuff, there's a couple of things on here that I am like, yes.
Yeah. Out on the West Coast and at Disneyland, they also got some news. And a lot of their news really has to deal with kind of the Disney 100th celebration. Like a lot of this stuff kind of really goes along with that. It's one of the big things that's going to go along with that. We need to be clear on this one because this is going to be different than Walt Disney World.
Yes.
Okay? And this is all PhotoPass pictures will be free to all ticketed guests.
And this is strictly part of the 100th celebration. So this is something that is going to end with the end of the 100th celebration.
Correct.
So this is a limited time offer thing at Disneyland in California. Like,
Right.
we're going to say that a few more times because,
Right.
like, that is not a perk that is happening in Florida. This is only going to be happening in Disneyland.
Disneyland.
It is not happening yet.
No.
It starts with the 100th celebration, I believe.
I think so. They don't have a date on that, but it is definitely at the beginning of the 100th.
And yeah, they are talking about it with it being a perk of the 100th. So I would anticipate that as the 100th starts later on this month, officially kicks off on
Right.
23rd.
23rd. I know there's a bunch of stuff opening on the 27th there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be definitely the end of this month. And when I say all PhotoPass, okay, I mean all PhotoPasses, not just the attraction.
Character meet and greets, photos in front of the castle, attractions.
And anything and everything where they are taking your picture, you're getting it for free.
Yeah. That's an incredible, incredible, incredible perk. I'm so excited about this. We always purchase Memory Maker and love what we get out of it. And, you know, I'm I'm used to having those
Right.
after a trip, and I'm really, really excited that as we look forward to a trip out to California later this year, that we are going to get the opportunity to have that, especially because we are taking like big family trip,
Right.
not just
It's
the
a
four
bunch
of
of
us.
us. It's a whole
It's a
mob
lot.
of us.
It's
Yeah.
a whole mob.
It's that's something that saves people some money. If that's your like, hey, this is our once every few years trip.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, Disneyland is more catered towards locals, but that also gets them pictures that they don't ever do.
Right. And I think that's a big part of it, is that it's probably trying to entice people of like, see what you get out of this.
Right.
And then when it goes away, you're going to have people that are like, wait, I want my photos.
Right. And there's going to be special settings and backdrops that have to do with the 100th that are going to be part of this, and different costumes that like Mickey and all of them are wearing that you only
All
get
the
with
platinum.
the 100th. You're going to get that, and you're going to get it for free because you're in the park already. So
Right.
you're obviously going to get it for free at that point. One of the other things we're talking about saving money, out there they've been having these days come up where the tickets, single day tickets, are $104, which is cheaper than
During the
normal.
week.
Yeah. And basically they're extending the time frame on these by like a month.
Yeah.
So you'll have more opportunity to get these cheaper tickets, which is a big deal because all the people that I follow that are Disneyland people, they were as excited for this as they were about anything. And the vast majority of them are Magic Key holders out there, which is their annual pass.
Right. But I mean, it just allows them to take somebody with them that isn't a
Right.
Magic Key holder. It allows them to, just like maybe enjoy the park on like a
Right. And
blockout day or something. Like,
it kind of shows again that maybe they were listening to people who go like, we go once a year. Like, we don't need an annual pass.
yeah.
But your ticket prices are now getting so expensive that we don't know if we can do it once a year. It might have to be once every 2 years.
Right.
So that really helps them out with that.
I also think it helps just with families who live local but aren't Magic Key holders, but are like, yeah, we'd love to be able to go, but that is way too much.
Right.
Just give some space. So they're typically during the weekdays, not the weekends. It's not every day.
And
It's select days.
it's usually not going to be during peak times.
No. So watch for those if you're trying to get out to Disneyland, like look for those tickets and that ticket option.
Right. Or if you're in that area and you're like, you know what, I haven't been for a little bit. I want to go on a cheaper day.
Yeah.
Look for it.
Now, here is something that is super beneficial and part of the reason why I will always tell everybody, if you can swing it, go ahead and pay for that park hopper. Disneyland is changing their park hopping times.
So
Why this is starting there and not in Florida, I don't know.
because everything's starting right now in Disneyland.
I know, but
they get everything, it seems
they
like
get
right
everything. Right now you can park hop between Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure starting at 1
1
p.m.
o'clock. Yep.
So if you have that park reservation for Disneyland in the morning, you cannot, and you have a park hopper, you cannot go over to California Adventure until 1 o'clock or later. That's changing to 11 a.m.
Right. And this is big. You may be over in Disneyland and you're like, you know what? I want to go over and have lunch with my friends who are over at California Adventure. Now you can. It opens up more things. Or it may have been, you know what? I got very specific things over at California Adventure I want to go see, but I really want to spend most of my time over in Disneyland. It gives you more of that opportunity.
Right.
It may just be 2 hours, but you can get some stuff done in 2 hours.
Oh yeah, I mean we were watching JoJo a little bit ago, and they were there just first thing in the morning or something, like, and they got a bunch of stuff knocked out.
Right. Disneyland, if you rope drop Disneyland, you can get a bunch of stuff done. Because once again, I keep saying this, it's a locals park. I mean, they're trying to make it more of a tourist destination, and they're starting to do that. But most locals don't show up at rope drop.
Well, and you don't typically do, a lot of locals don't do the, I'm going to get there at rope drop and stay all day at this one park.
Right.
Right? They're like, I want to go do this, this, and this, and I want to go eat here.
Yeah.
Like, they have very specific things that they're going to do because they're going to come back.
Yeah.
Right? You're not doing the all day thing that your 4 or 5 day tourists are doing, especially at World.
Right.
At either park, at either place. But at World, you tend to have more people who do, a lot more people who are doing that. Like, I have to fit everything in.
Right.
To this 3 or 4
Right.
or 5 days,
Right.
however long you're staying.
Nope.
Versus being like, we're just going to go for a couple of hours and see what we can do. It's a totally different mindset. It's a totally different vibe. Like, and so I am very excited to see how this plays out in terms of the whole reservation system thing
Right.
and like park hopping, and then how they end up changing things over in Disney World because of it.
Right. This is one of those things, though, I think we're going to have to stay tuned. I think there's some of this stuff that came out that may end up changing again.
Mm-hmm.
But they just don't want to let it all out at once.
So park hopping doesn't start quite yet.
Nope.
It's starting next month
Right.
in February.
Early February. February 4th.
So if you are going this month, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So close.
That will be next month. One of the things we were kind of expecting with all of this news, especially for Disneyland, I was shocked that we still don't have a date for Splash Mountain going down.
Yeah. We still don't know.
Especially because they still have not extended the date of the new one opening. Like
Right.
they still are holding to their timeline.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious when that's going to happen.
Right.
So it'll be really interesting just to see how this all plays out. But I'm hopeful because
Right.
again, we are planning to be out there later this year.
Right.
We are working on that. So for once, Disneyland news is important to us.
Right. Right. One of the things that makes me hopeful about things that are happening out there is Magic Key. They're opening it back up in more opportunities. So their annual pass is coming back as they have availability.
Which, it's such a weird supply and demand thing that they've been playing with.
Mm-hmm. It gives me hope that maybe sometime they'll come back to Disney World sooner rather than later, but still nothing. Nothing.
Yeah. I think you're going to see an opportunity for them. And I think where you're going to see at least the non-locals have an opportunity to purchase them is maybe going to be your DVC members.
Yeah, maybe.
It may become a DVC perk for a while too, but that's just my thought process. That's not confirmed. So there is one other thing that we do want to talk about though, and that is something that is actually happening on another continent.
Oh, in Disneyland Paris?
Disneyland Paris is actually getting a really cool drone show.
They're actually getting a couple. One of them is a return, and they just added some drones to it, from what I understand. It's the Pixar one. Mm-hmm. But the one that's coming first is an Avengers drone show.
How cool is that?
That is fantastic.
We've had friends that have gone to Disneyland Paris and really enjoyed it, and it makes me want to go. I really have no other desire to be there other than to go to Disneyland, but yeah, I'm very excited to see it. I'm hopeful of that we're going to have some good footage of it that's going to come out that we can watch it from here. But yeah.
Yeah,
it's going to look cool.
Yeah, I would love a drone show. Especially, I've seen pictures of their drone shows out there before. Like, one in Hollywood Studios over, the Chinese theater would be awesome.
Yeah, I really don't understand why they don't. I mean, I feel like it's something that...
I don't know if it's maybe because they're going to have to fly overhead on part of it. There'll be people underneath it. Or you would think that they can figure out somewhere to do it in one of the parks. Don't do it in Animal Kingdom. They can't do it in Animal Kingdom.
No.
And it wouldn't fit in Magic Kingdom. So...
You could do it over the water, though, at Epcot.
Maybe. I mean, to get them out there, though, you're still going to be flying them overhead. I don't know. I'd love to see him out there. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic.
You just fly him in a single file line or off the rooftops.
Like follow the leader all the way out there.
You just do them off the rooftops of the buildings.
Maybe.
Keep them over the buildings.
Yeah.
Make it so that
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they're more creative than I am. I'm sure they'll figure out something.
Yeah,
okay?
I like the idea of a drone show,
Yeah.
but yes, I understand the risks.
There is one more thing I want to touch on, and this has happened today.
What is that?
And that is Disney, the board voted on a new leader. And
So this is just for the board leadership.
right. This is not replacing Bob Iger, right? They asked him to replace Chapek before they went to Iger. Basically, he's there, and his main job is to head up the committee that is going to find the replacement for Bob Iger in 2 years. He's been a member of the board, and he has been the CEO for Nike. He was a part of the Nike company for like 3 decades or 4 decades.
Yeah.
But his name is Mark Parker, and he is taking over, going to be the head of the board, because there's a little bit of drama that's going on in the board right now with some people trying to get a board seat, and Disney's the actual board that's there right now is trying to cut it off before it happens.
Now, here's the thing. Mark Parker has been a Disney board member.
Right.
He is now the chairman of the Disney board.
Absolutely.
So that is the difference. It's not that he's like coming in, you have never been a part of it, you're a total outsider, anything like that. This is something he's been a part of since 2016. So this is not, none of this is foreign to him. None of the things that have been happening in the last couple of months or even since COVID are foreign to him.
No.
So that's really good.
Right.
And again, he was on the short list of names that was asked.
Right. It was he
over.
was one of the very first ones they went to. Like, the board has full confidence in him and thought he would be a good person to take over for Chapek.
Right. But he did turn it down.
He did turn it down.
But because they thought that he was a good fit for that potential role, that is part of the reason why he is taking over.
Right.
And helping to
head up
lead
this
that.
search.
Yeah.
Head up this search, and has said he's looking at internal and external candidates.
Yeah. Here you go, babe.
Yeah. Hey, I'm over here. Come find me.
I think that's about all of the news that's come out in the last 2 days. We are still going to jump back into our 3-part series about all the things to expect in 2023 at Disneyland. So look for that next week. Mm-hmm. But until then, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Salute to the Ears and share with your friends.
And with that, go out and find your joy.
And have a magical week.